So, a very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to today's session, Sampurna. Just for my viewers, I just want to share this. All the students out here and all the parents out here who are actually watching this video. I just want to share that in the last 5 years, the Indian education ecosystem has, it has transformed like anything ever since the inception of new National Education Policy 2020, which largely talked about, multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education in the, Indian education domain. And since 2020, we have also seen that so many traditional universities, right, they're actually trying their, level best to come up with this, to adhere to these policies like multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary education, inception of AI and tech-based, learning and experiential learning. They're actually trying their level best for the last 5, 7 years. But at the same time, we have seen that there is the emergence of a lot of new age universities. And these new age universities, they are not just, they are, putting up to the expectation of the new national education policy. In fact, I believe they are going beyond what is
Mm.
written in the new national education policy. And that is something which is making them very exceptional, very unique, and very attractive as well, right? So, to all our viewers, I just want to say that one such university with us is Nayanta University, and it has a very strong foothold in the Pune region, and probably I would say it is not emerging, it has actually emerged, right, in terms of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education. And actually, I just want to dig deep into into this perspective of this holistic education in India right now. So we have with us one of the key representatives and founding members of Nayanta University. And to all my viewers, I would like to introduce my guest, uh, Sampurna Ghosh, to you. She is the head of admission and marketing at Nayanta University. Is an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. She has also done her master's in management from Mudra Institute of Communication, Ahmedabad. And also, she is one of the alumnus of prestigious Ashoka University. Prior to joining Nayanta, she was part of founding team at BIT School of Management. Oh, that's very, that's great. That's actually very, I would say I appreciate that you have been a founding member of BITS, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Mumbai campus. So you have been the founding team of BITS School of Management, where she led the effort across admissions, outreach, and marketing from 2020 to 2025. So you have spent 5 years at such a
Yeah, about 4.5 years at BITS Mumbai.
and that's a very prestigious institution. Prior to that, she has corporate career in sales and marketing across MNCs like Mattel Toys, Disney, and Viacom 18. So, I mean, that's a great transformation from industry to academia, right?
Yeah,
And Sampurna is passionate about engaging with young people to understand their aspirations and help them find the right path for their higher education. So, Sampurna, a very warm welcome on this platform. And through this platform, we are going to, reveal everything about the emerging great things going on in the Indian education ecosystem. So, I welcome you to this platform, and I hope in the next 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, we are going to have a very fruitful conversation on Nayanta University, right?
thank you so much for the warm welcome, Vineet. And I'm looking forward to sharing more on Nayanta and with students and parents alike.
Oh, thank you. So, actually, I was actually going through the entire university website, and I was, doing a lot of research on that. And the word that fascinated me was the word Nayanta. So,
Hmm.
could you please educate us on, what was the philosophy behind establishing this, institution of great
Yeah,
knowledge? And
so there are,
also, I
yeah,
would like to know that what's the secret behind the name Nayanta?
yeah. I was going to come to that. So there are two parts to it. One is that Nayanta, what it means, and why Nayanta for us, and the second part is the philosophy and the ethos behind setting up Nayanta. So Nayanta is actually a Sanskrit word. It means new hope, but there are two meanings to Nayanta. So you can actually also in Sanskrit have it as a sandhi, as we call it. So split it into two. So it means Naya and Ananta, so which means something new that is never ending. And so to kind of, so it kind of ties to the idea that we want to build a legacy that lasts for thousands of years for India, and it's new, so it's the beginning of that, and we are hopeful that we're going to be able to stay agile and active and be able to adapt to the times as we go along and never get complacent, and hence it remains to be a new hope and it remains to be new and never ending. So those are the two meanings which are kind of attributed to Nayanta, and those were the reasons why it really appealed to our founders, and we went ahead with this name. With respect to the philosophy behind Nayanta, I will talk to you a little bit about who founded it and why the trigger to start a new university kind of came about for our founders. But broadly, the philosophy was fairly simple. It was to have, a broad based, multidisciplinary education embedded in the real world, and introduce that to the Indian undergraduate ecosystem first, and then of course lend it to masters and exec ed and across the spectrum of higher education programs. But when it comes to, and just to talk a little bit about all of those things, when we talk about broad based, what we mean is that, and that ties to multidisciplinary in a way, which is to say that, we are very used to, India has about 1,000 plus universities, and a large number of them are in the space of engineering, in the space of MBA now with the IIMs. So the IIMs, the IITs, the NITs, as well as a lot of the medical schools or the law schools that have emerged in the last 20, 30 years. So a lot of technical siloed education is something that has always been, in the recent past, kind of really been the strength of India's education, higher education landscape. And the idea is that when people kind of grow into larger leadership roles, with a siloed approach to education, they often struggle to look beyond that lens that they are sort of masters at. So it is very important for leaders to look at the world at large. Any problem that comes to them is not just an engineering problem or a marketing problem or a finance problem or an environment problem, but how is it that every problem is kind of something that is, your teams, the organizations, you also exist in society, in an environment, the country, the planet as a whole, and how can you have the right set of lens to be able to view any problem from all of those perspectives to then solve for it in a more holistic manner. And that is the crux of the philosophy when we talk about broad based education, and that we also, our research suggested that can only happen with a solid base of both cultural and technical literacy. And what we mean by that is cultural literacy, we mean is all your arts, sciences, management. And then technical literacy is not only tech and the pure sciences, but it is also tech across all of the spectrums within the social sciences or management, right? So, and that is where the real world and technical literacy aspect comes in, is to say that the program is very entrenched in giving students exposure to real world careers, and that we'll come to later. But the reason behind it is to say that a student that is going to major in philosophy or literature or history or political science will have a very strong foundation in physics, chemistry, coding, AI, computer science, sustainability, all of that, and vice versa, right? So which means that everyone with that basic understanding of all of the key domains, in addition to how is tech enabling all the domains, which is not just core tech, but also, say, within economics, how is tech being used, or within psychology, how is tech being used. So, a little bit of experience and exposure in that while you are also learning how to write and communicate. So, that entire packaging is something that is important for a student to graduate with, to be able to be, purposeful, sustainable leaders in the future. And that was the idea. So multidisciplinary broad-based education, uh, within, deeply entrenched in the real world, with a strong balance of cultural and technical literacy. That's the larger core of the education at Nayanta.
That's indeed actually, I mean, you just apprised us on this, how the holistic education should look like. I mean, I was very, impressed by this. I mean, because, this actually what happens in India, we are actually core tech. I mean,
Hmm.
engineering kar lo ya MBBS kar lo ya fir, go for management. But, I mean, Nayanta thought about, just to integrate the real life problem, be it a social problem, cultural problem, corporate problem, any sort of, from any segment of society. I mean, it integrates with their skills and enable them to solve the problem. That's indeed very, very holistic. Okay, so thank you so much for letting us know that we have such a great university in India, which is offering such a, enhanced level of holistic education, right? Secondly, Sampurna, actually the thing which excited me was I was going through your leadership team, right? Through that team, and I could see the who's and who's of the industry. I mean, the renowned industry leaders and also the great Indian scholars. I could
Yeah.
find in that list. So to name few for our viewers, we have founding members of Nayanta University, Mr. Chris Gopal Krishnan. Obviously, everybody knows him, a co-founder Infosys, right? Dr. Naushad Forbes and Farhad Forbes. Obviously, they are the chairperson, co-chairperson of Forbes Marshall. Right. Then we have Banmali Agarwal, chairperson Tata Advanced System. We have Sri Bharat Puri, ex-managing director Pidilite Industries. We have Meher Pudumji, chairperson Thermax Limited. We have Mr. Nadir Godrej, Managing Director, Godrej Industries. We have Satish Reddy. I mean, everybody knows
Dr. Reddy's lab. Yeah.
Chairperson Dr. Reddy's Labs. So these are the industry leaders. At the same time, we have also witnessed in the founding team members like Dr. Ashok Mishra,
Yeah.
former director of IIT Bombay. We have Dr. Pankaj Chandra, Vice Chancellor Ahmedabad University. So I mean, I'm very fascinated by these names. They are actually the renowned, stalwarts of the academia and the, industry. So, I mean, please educate us on what actually, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना क्या संयोग बना, what actually conspired in this universe so that they all came together and thought of this vision.
It's a very interesting story. So, just like the name is kind of interesting and it's a conversation starter. So, Nayanta officially launched in January of 2025. So, we are going to turn a year old very soon. But the idea of Nayanta was born much before that. It was born about 7 years ago, at a time when Dr. Naushad Forbes, who's our chancellor, he was the president of CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry, and Chris was Mr. Chris Gopal Krishnan, who's one of the co-founders of Infosys. He was one of the predecessors as a president of CII as well. And so at that time, there was a lot of talk around the fact that, so what I was talking about is that a lot of leaders are looking at problems in silos, and that's a challenge that they figured was a consistent conversation about CXOs and CEOs within the CII. And that is something that they believed sort of needed to change. And they themselves, so Naushad himself is someone that has been educated in Stanford. He did his BA, MA, and PhD at Stanford. He taught there for 13 years before he sort of moved back to India to run his business, his philanthropic initiatives, and now the university. So he's somebody that kind of believed in the crux of a multidisciplinary education and how that can truly be transformational as an individual grows in any sphere of industry, government, or social enterprise that they end up leading eventually. So that was the core of the idea. And so Naushad and Chris kind of got together and they had conversations around it and they wanted to start something together. But then the idea was that instead of doing something just by themselves, they were pretty certain that there were many others who would at some point want to start something like this. Universities or education institutions or initiatives of their own. And so the idea was that instead of doing multiple of these, can they, like-minded folks, can they all join forces and invest in one that can lead to something like a legacy for India in the next 500,000 years that will stay? And that was the idea, and that's how the core group came together. So we have a total of 13 founders at the moment, and you named quite a few of them. So they then kept meeting every month over the last 6 years before the past year that Nayanta got formed, and they continue to meet. So, and now a lot of the meetings happen on campus, and that's how the whole proposition of building this university together came about from them. But the larger piece is that they're not only sort of names and faces on the website or on our presentation. They genuinely are invested and interested, and not only with their money but time and effort as well. So we've the founding class for Nayanta undergraduate program joined us in August 2025, and between and end of August, right? So September, October, November, December, it's been 4 months. About 6 to 7 of our founders have already come and spent a day with our students, and it's like we always schedule like a 90-minute conversation where 2 students interview a founder and they get to do a little bit of a conversation, but it ends up being half a day, full day, because it becomes very interesting for the founders also to get to know the students. They're very, very interested in all aspects of the way the university functions, from help, from the admissions process to what students are coming in, how can they help in making a case for Nayanta amongst students and parents, how can they help with perhaps the program design and all of that. They're genuinely very, very interested and invested individuals, and they're on campus fairly often for founders of the caliber that you just spoke about. So it's something that it's everyone's baby, and it's not something that is like a website where there are some names and it's not like that. It's truly people who are invested in building this together. I wanted to add about the leadership team at Nayanta also. So the founders we spoke about, but the leadership at Nayanta is also very, very solid. So we have Dr. Ranjan Banerjee, who is our Vice Chancellor. He was the Dean of SP Jain Institute of Management Research in Mumbai. And during his tenure is when SP Jain went on to become one of the top 5 in the country as per the FT rankings for the Masters in Management program. He then moved on to becoming the founding dean of the BIT School of Management, and he led that school in the founding years for 2.5, 3 years before moving on to become the founding vice chancellor of Nayanta. He is one of India's leading design thinking professors, and he teaches design thinking to undergraduates at Nayanta, and we're the only school teaching design thinking at the foundation level right from term 1. In the undergraduate piece. We also have Dr. Partha who's our Dean of Academics, who was one of the founding members of the IIT Bombay HSS department and the School of Public Policy, so the Humanities and Social Sciences department. He's one of India's leading sociologists and climate change researchers and scholars, and he is somebody that has experience in building the department for one of the top ITs in the country, and he's our dean of academics. He was also the first employee of Nayanta. And then there's Miss Aniha Brad, who is somebody who is our dean of students and student learning and life, and she basically has also designed the uh, communication and writing program. And she teaches that herself in the founding years, and it's a program that runs compulsorily for all our students over the 4 years. So everyone goes through a compulsory communication and writing piece at Nayanta. She was in the founding team of Ashoka University. So first in the founding team of the Young India Fellowship, which preceded Ashoka, and then she spent about 14 years there, and she was the dean of the Young India Fellowship. She was my dean when I was a fellow back at Ashoka, and now she's working with us. And then we also have Mr. Ashish Gupta, who is an ITIM graduate who then went on to become an IPS officer. I think he was one of the first to do so. He was last DGP Uttar Pradesh Police before he took voluntary retirement to become a dean of operations. And he has led, the security for the PMO with Dr. Manmohan Singh. He's led peace missions for India with the UN and things like that. But point I'm trying to make is that even the leadership that runs the university on a day-to-day, the people you meet on campus every day, in addition to our very illustrious faculty body that we are building full-time, as well as mentor faculty body at the moment, they are very, very credible people. They know what they're doing, and the idea is to come together and truly build something solid in Pune for India.
So that actually gives us a clear sense that under such a great leadership, under the supervision of such great leadership, the experience for the students must be very, very enriching.
Yeah,
and
it is.
and very much very, very experiential, because the profile you mentioned, I mean, they are actually a book in themselves. You can
Which
write a
is
book
very
on,
true.
you can write a biography on each of one of them. I mean,
Yes.
they have such great credentials, right? So thank you so much for educating on this as well. Uh, uh, One important question from students' point of view, right? And everybody would take a very keen interest in this aspect, that Nayanta is stands for multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education. Also, you mentioned about the holistic education, right? And I was told that it's a 4-year program out there.
Yes.
Each program has been divided into trimesters. We
Yes.
have 3 trimesters for every year, right?
Yes.
So please take us through the program overview of the undergraduate course offered, and also give us some clarity on the majors and minors to be taken.
Yeah. I'll just actually, what I'll do is I'll share my screen.
Yeah, so
Because
let me make you the co-host so that you can share it. So you are the co-host now, and you can share your screen.
a second. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
presentation is visible now. Yeah.
Okay. So what we offer at Nayanta, like you rightly said, is a 4-year undergraduate degree program. It's full-time, it's residential, it's based in Pune. It leads to a BA honors or a BSc honors. And currently we're open for admissions for the class of 2630. So I'll just break it down simply in the way the timeline progresses. So when you come into the program at Nayanta, you do not have to pick any majors or minors, right? You don't have to. So traditionally, we used to all enter a program which used to be called, say, BA Economics or BSc Physics or BCom Finance or things like that. Now it's not the case here at Nayanta, especially. The idea is that you come in and everybody enters the same undergraduate program, and you all go through a 16-month foundation program. So 16 months then means 4 terms. So all of the first year and then the first term of year 2. So term 4. So the first 4 terms are the 16-month foundation. Herein the students learn a balanced, balance of subjects across arts, sciences, management, and tech. And I talked about the cultural and technical literacy bit earlier and how we are trying to balance that. We're also the only school that is teaching design thinking and systems thinking right out of the gate in the foundation itself. Design thinking starts with term one. And what happens here is that they learn not only how to, figure out a problem that they want to solve for. And that could be from the world around them or something social, something business, whatever. But incidentally, all of our students have tried to pick, social enterprise kind of problems in the first term. And so there were students who wanted to, work on, say, go to Kolhapur, talk to artisans, and figure out a way to bring the Kolhapuri chappal to the modern Indian consumer, the office going consumers, and they have a prototype ready for it. Or some students who wanted to work on via girls dropping out after high school, in the state of Maharashtra. So, but what that means is that they have to come up with a problem that they want to work on. They have to also work on a set of assumptions based on which then they go and interview real people in the real world, right? So the real world integration that we talk about doesn't only lend itself to the careers aspect of things, but also the fact that most courses that they study, including not just design thinking, but also say in sociology or psychology and a lot of other courses, involve an aspect of the assessment where they have to go and speak to real people in the real world that are dealing with the concerns that the students are trying to work on, and then kind of come back and figure out how to solve for those problems through real inciting, right? So the inciting, oftentimes our students have then come back and told us, is what leads to questioning the base assumption that they had in the first place, right? And that is one of the first set of learnings that they get, and design thinking kind of sets the tone for that. Is that their assumptions often get questioned, but based on that inciting, they can now have a more robust problem statement to work on and solve for it, not from a high horse where they're not connected to the reality, but from the point of view of what is genuinely impacting people and how to solve for it. So that's something. And so design thinking and systems thinking is something that we're doing straight out of the gate. We take design thinking a notch above in term 3, where they start working on prototyping also. So they not only come up with what is the problem, how do I solve for it, just the idea and the presentation, but then in term 3 they work on actually prototyping it and seeing how to take it to market and things like that. So that's one. The second, the third, and the fourth thing I want to talk about are the communication and writing program that I mentioned. It's something that we teach compulsorily throughout the program, everything from academic writing to email writing, to research, to communication, one-on-one, one-to-many, across multimedia channels, is something that is actually taught in class, and they get to learn hands-on compulsorily throughout. So we believe that none of our graduates should go out into the real world with challenges that they face in the first job, as to how do I communicate with a leader, or how do I write a professional email, or things like that. One unique thing we do with this program is that we build in the use of AI right at the start. So if we tell students not to use AI, that's not going to happen. It will be a cat and mouse chase. So the best and effective way of doing using AI is something that is taught to them right out of the gate, to say that effective human AI interface is when creativity and criticality is yours, comes from your brain, the idea is yours, it's original, and then to maybe summarize or bullet point or refine, you can always use generative AI to help you with some structure as you go along, but the idea has to be yours, and that's something that gets taught right away. And then the fourth thing that starts and runs for the 4 years is the Nayanta Campus. It's a personal development program, which is a one-on-one program. So Nayanta is actually formed on the crux of care. So we have a few pillars, but care, curiosity, and confidence are one of the three of the core pillars that we have at Nayanta. And care is something that we want to build in right away through individualized attention. It is something that we, think of in everything we do. In terms of student centric approach to the program, to student life, to everything. But the way we truly bring it to life is through the individualized attention in the personal development program, which is called the Nayanta campus. What happens is you're mapped to an individual faculty mentor, and Dr. Brajesh Pachpai and Dr. Leena Chatterjee are faculty that for psychology and leadership that have designed the program. So Dr. Brajesh will be, guiding students. So the 4 years, the journey is simple. It's the first year is to know yourself. The second year is to help decide on the majors and minors. The third year is to figure out careers and how to pick them. And the fourth year is to kind of prepare for life in general. So life after your undergrad, which is either it's higher education or careers, or how do you, because everyone will have multiple careers as they go along. We were talking about how I have had a few already. And so students today are likely to have far more as they go along, and so that's something we want to prepare them with the toolkit to be able to pivot and not get redundant or not be fearful of redundancy at any given point of time. So that's the holistic sort of approach as to what begins when you come into the program. So that's the beginning of the 16-month foundation. Here is the course list. It's also on the website, so I will not kind of ponder over it for too long. Students can go and check it out on the website also. And then comes the majors and minors, right? So in year 2, term 5, idea is that once you have a decent exposure to all of the subjects across domains, you should now be in a position to be able to pick your majors and minors. We offer up to 10 majors at the moment and 6 minors. All of the majors can be scaled down to a minor also, which means I can study computer science as a major or a minor. But all the minors remain minors. So I cannot major in entrepreneurship, I can only minor in entrepreneurship, for example. And we allow for students to do up to 2 majors and 1 minor. If they want to do 1 major and 1 minor, that's also okay. But to meet the credit requirements, they can then pick electives from across majors to be able to meet the credit requirements. So, for example, some of the concerns and questions we get from students and parents is, when it's too flexible, then it's also, it may lack structure, and how do I decide? And while the idea is that the foundation will help you decide, but it might also happen that too much, I may end up liking too many things, and it may lead to more confusion than certainty. So in that case, we do have the Nayanta campus that will help you guide through this process, but also the academic team will be there to guide you through the process of picking your majors and minors. And any combination is basically possible, right? Which means that if I want to do computer science with sustainability and innovation or entrepreneurship, we already have a student actually in the first year who's been on Shark Tank, and he's building a business around wearable climate change, wearable technology for gig workers to cope with climate change. So he wants to say, suppose do computer science, sustainability studies, and entrepreneurship, because that's the domain in which he's building a business, and that's his area of interest. But then we can also have students who are more interested in computer science, mathematics, and data science, because that's the kind of domain that they want to get into. At the same time, we can also have students who may want to not choose between the heart and the mind. So they may love literature and or sociology or political science and also mathematics and want to do both. And so they have the option of doing double major in both of those things. I just want to highlight here that a major in computer science, mathematics, and sustainability studies will lead to BSc honors degrees, and economics with a double major in mathematics will lead to a BSc honors degree, whereas economics with a double major in any other subject say political science or literature, will lead to a BA honors degree. Our psychology program at the moment, it's a BA honors program. We do not offer cognitive sciences and neurosciences, so there's no BSc element in this program yet. So that's basically the crux of it. So I think I have a slide on, okay, so I want to pause and kind of ask you, Beneath, does that make it clear in terms of the possibilities, or if it's still confusing, I can try and explain a little bit more.
So I just wanted to know that when we talk about computer science and
Yes.
so do we have different subjects combination under computer science?
Yes.
Then,
So when a student is doing a major, they
hmm,
are doing 6 subjects as core,
okay.
and then they have to do 3 electives within the number of courses offered to them to be able to claim a major in that domain, right? All of the subjects are listed on the website. So particularly the computer science program is geared towards students who want to be in software development, AI, robotics, that bent of mind. It is not particularly a program for those who want to go into hardware specifically. So anyone that is more into the software and application side of things, especially with a focus on AI and robotics, it's a good program for them. One thing we do across the board in all subjects is that we're not just teaching theory from back in the day, but we also do a lot of emphasis on studies and researches that are emerging today of recent Nobel laureates, of the work that is happening in India and also in the world across domains, be it sociology, be it sustainability, be it psychology, in today's time, so that the students have more, a little bit more kind of insight into what is truly happening in the space today, so that they can adapt faster and not just kind of learn something that was done many years ago, which perhaps is not as relevant today. And that's true for across sort of the board. Another thing is that there is an element of interdisciplinarity within everything they study. So, for example, our professor of computer science, who is coming from the Colorado School of Mines, Dr. Dinesh Mehta, when he teaches the computer science foundation course, after kind of teaching them how to build the applications and code and everything, he then expects them to pick up a social project, a sustainability project in the neighborhood, in the area, and then work on an application to solve for it, right? So that's how we are kind of building in the interdisciplinarity aspect in everything that they do. Even a lot of literature they study will have gender, will have environment, and same goes for sociology and history and everything else. There will be a focus on India centricity as well as the world. So we do believe that to be, good citizens of India that will kind of emerge out of India as leaders, it is kind of critical that they have a more kind of clearer view on everything. And it's important that they know the context within which that they exist.
So great. I mean, the way you showcase the entire curriculum gives me a sense that it's a very comprehensive sort of learning for the students out there.
Yes.
I mean,
So this is just the learning in terms of the piece that they are doing in the classroom and beyond. And then comes the real world exposure and experience, which happens simultaneously. Bear with me a little bit because this is where it can get confusing. So while you do the foundation in the first year and term 4, in at the beginning of year 2, and then in term 5, you pick your majors and minors. Now, as you progress in year 2, year 3, year 4, you are now also having to kind of work on the careers aspect of the program. This is very much a part of the program. It's very much credited, and graded as well. So we have a total of 5 plus 3, 8 months of careers inbuilt within the 4 year undergraduate program, which is a BA BSc program. So we're perhaps the only school. BITS Pilani has a 6 month practice school within the engineering program, but we have it within our BA BSc program, right? So it all begins with giving them exposure to all three sectors. So at the beginning, so between year 2 and year 3, in 3 terms, they get to study a core course called Introduction to Government, Introduction to Social, Introduction to Government, Corporate. So 3 of these courses are taught, and within that, there is an aspect of a 1 month immersion with an organization in that sector that is working on a certain project or a problem that they would like our students to work with them on. So now to visualize it, a term is about say 3 to 4 months, and within that period of 3 to 4 months, they are first learning the ins and outs of that industry or the sector, how it functions, and then map to an organization where they are working on how real world problem solving for it. They get to bring it to class, work with the professor also, and get to peer learn also. So there could be somebody, say, in the social sector space working on water, somebody working on maybe education, somebody working on health, and they get to kind of learn from each other as well. So just I'm not limited to the learning that my project has to offer. So while they do that, this we believe gives them enough of a sneak peek into all the three sectors and an understanding of everything for them to then decide, where do I want to intern for 5 months in. So the longer internship, which is the 5 month one, is meant to be in a sector of their choice, right? So they come and tell us what the sector is where they want to work, and then we help them find. So mind you, all of these projects and internships, we work towards bringing it to the students. They don't have to go and get them. Sure, if somebody knows somebody and is very passionate about working in a certain space and already has a contact, then sure, they can always work with the career services team to ensure that they can go wherever they feel like. But that's not the rule. The rule is that the norm is that the career services is a full-time team that works towards bringing these opportunities for our students. And so they have the option of pursuing the 5 month internship either at the end of term 3 plus the summer break, or the summer break plus the beginning of year 4. So that's basically the idea behind the whole program. And these are organizations that have already partnered with us to give internships and immersions to our students, and then of course placements should everything go well. And we are working towards building this list to over 100 as we go along. This is a little bit of a nutshell of the program and what it looks like over a period of 4 years, and what happens when in terms of the timeline of it. This is also on the website, but I'll just leave it on the screen for a little bit for people to grasp.
Oh, that's great. I mean, your presentation already answered my next question. I was about to ask
Yes,
the
just
next
the
question.
careers.
Yeah, so industry integrated learning, I was supposed to ask, but I don't. My question is already answered in this particular slide only. At the
Yes,
same time,
and that just gives you the idea that we are not looking at the careers aspect as anything that is separate from the program. It is very much a part of the program and the development of the student within that undergraduate journey that they come along at Nayanta.
that's great. And also, that was very impressive. I mean, that you spoke about that design thinking and you gave that example of social entrepreneurship. I mean, students are so socially engaged that
Yeah,
when they go to the society and when they do the research, it actually breaks their assumption with which
yeah.
they've already gone there. I mean, that's actually a very I would say enriching thing for the student, right?
And that's just then that I'm speaking of from the presentations we saw in term 1 of year 1. right? So that's already something that they are saying that they've learned, and we saw those learnings come to life. And I think one other thing that I wanted to highlight, and we will talk more about it when we talk about the admissions process, is that we are trying to build a class which is representative of India's socioeconomic and geographic diversity, right? What that does is that it brings in all sorts of people within the classroom who are just as meritorious as the other, because they go through the same admissions process. But there are children within the class which are actually facing some of the challenges that they are trying to solve for. So when you're doing group work and you have someone that is talking about the fact that in their neighborhood they have seen girls dropping out from school, or in their neighborhood there is a bit of a malnutrition problem, or older people need a little bit more help in their aging years. So these are the fact that they are able to identify some real problems is because we have students who are genuinely coming from backgrounds that are dealing with climate change in a far more everyday basis. I'm sure people in Delhi are dealing with it far more than anyone else is anyway. But there are children who are kind of on the ground for a lot of these concerns, and they are able to kind of bring that to class, and then it helps with the peer learning as well as too. And so the work of the group in general kind of gets enriched, and the kind of people they can tap into and get insights from also gets kind of enriched in the process.
Yeah, truly amazing. Now, my next question to you is that could you please explain the eligibility criteria for the
Yes.
students to join the program at Nayanta?
So the eligibility criteria is fairly simple. It is that you have to have, appeared for class 12. So if you're applying for the class of 26-30, then step one is that you are either appearing for class 12 in 2026. So that is one. Or you have already appeared for class 12, say last year or last to last year. Some people do take up to 2 gap years. So then there's that. We accept all boards. We accept all Indian and international boards alike. We also accept the IB career program and the IB certificate program. That's a question that we get quite often. So yes, we do accept it, but with some caveats. You need to do at least two, I think, DP courses within the CP program to be able to be eligible to apply to Nayanta. The website in the admissions page and the eligibility criteria page has all the details of it. So I would request you to kind of go through that in a little bit more detail if you are from IB career or certificate programs specifically. But when it comes to CBSE, ISC, any of the state boards, CIE, or the American board, we pretty much accept all of the boards.
So there is a follow-up question for that. I mean, see, like many universities, does Nayanta have a minimum eligibility criteria in terms of percentage at class 12th level?
No, so we don't look at the class 12 percentage right away. We do look at the class 10 percentage when you are applying to us, but that's not because most of them apply. So round one is over, our offers are out for round one. Round two is currently going on, so we don't often have the class 12 score. We are also not asking for the predicted score of class 12 at the moment, right? So we go by the class 10 score. But the way we do the holistic process is that we not only look at your score, but we also look at any other achievements you might have, which is B. So your academic achievements, which is to do with, you may have had achievements in Olympiads or, certain essay competitions or things like that. And then there's the non-academic achievements, extracurriculars as we call them. So that can range from music, sports, theater, anything, chess, debating, all of that. And we do kind of value those experiences. In addition to that, we also have a space for students to express themselves through the essays. When I say essays, it is only 200 words. and one 300-word personal statement. So two short and one long essay. Those are very personalized. Like the questions are a letter to your future roommate, maybe a personality, fictional or in real life, that you would want to meet and ask a few questions to. So and what are your motivations, any challenges you have faced, any failures you have faced, that you want to talk about. So what is it that is making the student resilient perhaps along the way, is something that we're interested in. So because oftentimes you will see that they may not have a good score, but there might have been a health struggle which led to underperformance during the board exams. And so that is something that we look at. If they have a JE score, an SAT score, any of the competitive exam scores, the CLAT, they're more than welcome to submit that. Or that also falls under the purview of academic achievement. And while we don't kind of consider it as a bypass for our aptitude test, but at the same time, we do kind of look at it and use it to evaluate the student's whole profile.
Okay, that's great. So that clearly gives me a sense that, Nayanta looks for academic profile, extracurricular, co-curricular, your communication skill, your achievements, all right? And
Yes,
essay writing on the spot, essay writing, or maybe, your presentation skills, these are
yes.
taken into consideration for the admission process.
So that's the first step of the process, which is the form. And then they have to write an aptitude test, which
Yeah.
is a
And
1 hour, 10-minute test that they have to write.
and that's compulsory for everyone.
Yes. So if you apply to us, you have to write the test, and we open a window. We give you time. We give you a few days. We give you a broad time, say from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's 1 hour, 10 minutes. So you can come, log in, and take it at the convenience from your center, from your home, whichever is from your school, whichever is most comfortable and convenient for you. It is verbal, it is numerical, it is reasoning, three things. And there is one very short on the spot essay. So you will get the prompt then and there, but you have 30 minutes to write about 150 words. The idea is that we want at least one original thought on the topic to come out of that. We're not necessarily looking at grammar and spell check because it's on the spot, so it might go haywire in the moment. So that's not necessarily what we're looking at, but we are looking for an original thought that from you on the topic that you see. And the aptitude test is a class 10 level, because the question often is that, if it's math and I didn't have math in plus 2, then how do I manage? Then it's about class 10 level. You should be able to do it.
So there is one remark and one question. Remark for my student is that, see, JE marks, NEET marks, or for that matter, any other standardized, entrance examination marks cannot be a replacement for Nayanta aptitude test. You have to write this test without any failure. That is the first thing. And second thing is that, that's actually a good news for the students, right? For
Yeah.
even those students who are having mathematics in class 11th and 12th. And that good news is the Nayanta aptitude test, comprises of three sections, as you mentioned. The first is logical reasoning, second is English, third is numerical. And when it comes to numerical, which is mathematics, you don't have higher mathematics. The most of the questions are from class 10th mathematics. So
Yeah.
that's something which is a good news, I'm sure, for the
Yeah.
students. One question, Sampurna, I mean, this question is often asked to us from the students. I have a 1 year gap, I have a 2 year gap.
Yeah.
If somebody has taken a drop for some
Hmm.
reason, for JEE
Hmm.
preparation or for some any entrance preparation, and wants to comes to Nayanta, is taking a gap regarded as a disadvantage for that student?
Not at all. We have students who've taken gaps, and it's been a very sort of common thing in the West over the years, and it's kind of becoming um, quite common in India also as we go along. There are two reasons why people take a gap year. One could be that they truly wanted to explore, and what the Western philosophy has been all along is that, go do some internships, this, that, figure out what you want to do before you actually go to college. And the second aspect is they may have some genuine concern, right? So it could be to prepare for an entrance exam, it could be to because they had some health concern, which led them to drop a year. It's not a concern at all, but that's why we give them the space to talk about their journeys in the personal statement as well as in the essays that they write, is to share as to what has been the growth, like what have they worked on in this past year. So in the 1 year, what did they do? So when the structure of the school goes away, then how do you kind of fashion your day? What is it that you don't have to be, like someone that dedicated your life to some purpose every single day of those 365 days, but broadly, did you go and gain some experience? If it is a health thing, then did you truly work on getting better and in shape and taking the rest that you needed to now be fit for college? So those kinds of journeys of and stories of resilience are something that we value just as much as we value quote unquote achievements, right? So we are looking for those stories to authentically come out in the essays, and then eventually after they take the aptitude test and they get to the interview, then it's a 20 to 30-minute conversational interview. Once they pass the test, they get to the interview, and so in that it is discussed quite a bit as to what has been their learning. And we have had students who've kind of talked about some brilliant stories. Like I talked to you about one kid who went to Shark Tank, in the process started his own business, is funded by some of the bigger names, and he actually got out of Assam and went to Delhi, and he was working out of the I can't name the startups, but some of the bigger startups in India, and they were and then they encouraged him to go to college, right? So there are many stories like that. I have a student who went to a traveling high school. So she took a gap year and then she went to a traveling high school. She went to 6 countries in 2 years, 3 to 4 months each in a country, and she kind of had a cohort of students, I think, from 15 countries or so. So those are a lot of those like cool stories. Then there are students who have some health concerns, which leads them to, and we're open to all of that as long as they can own up to it, they can justify it, and they've come out of it learning something. Even a health crisis teaches you something. So we want to know all of that, and that it's not a disadvantage at all.
That's great. So my next question is, and I want you to give message to the Gen Z, I mean students who are actually aspire to secure a seat in Nayanta University. So basically, this will be a question plus at the same time a message from you to students as well, right? And it's up to you how you address them. But the question is, what attributes do you look for in a student in order to, make him or her secure a seat in Nayanta University? And how should that student prepare himself or herself for this, program?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. That's a really good one, because this comes to us quite a bit, because when you say you're looking at everything, then oftentimes it can lead to confusion as to what is it that you're truly looking at. If what does everything mean? So something that we value the most at Nayanta, and I was talking about our pillars of care, curiosity, confidence, and careers. Curiosity is something that we're looking for. Resilience is something that we're looking for. Hunger to learn is something that we're looking for, right? And when I talk about curiosity, oftentimes, this whole college application scenario makes people believe that they need to go do 500 things, that they need to be in the badminton team also, and play the guitar also, and be the school captain also, and get 90% also, and all of that. So while there are a few students out there that can actually do it all and do it very well, and they should, right? But the others, like most of us, like I was a very quiet kid in school, and so if you told me, and I always felt like I was less than most of my peers, but that doesn't mean I did any worse than any of them as I grew up, right? And so the idea is that we are looking at curiosity in things that you are truly interested in, right? So pick wisely. So if you are somebody that is curious in one or two things and wants to learn that thing, then we're looking for depth in that. So it's okay to be sort of inch wide but foot deep, right? So that's one message, that you pick your areas and just cultivate your knowledge and depth in that. And that's something that we're looking for. I'll give you an example. We have a student in the founding class. She did PCM for her plus two, but but through conversations with her friends, she figured she was very interested in psychology, and but she didn't have the books or the study material for it. So she borrowed her friend's NCRT textbook, and she studied the entire 2 years course curriculum for psychology CBSE on her own, in addition to getting really good marks in plus two for her PCM program. And then when we talked to her, and she said she wanted to pursue psychology, and when she had written essays, and when we talked to her, she could answer pretty much everything, right? So that means that she was curious about something, she was hungry to learn about something, and she truly went and did that. And it could be, music, it could be arts, it could be Harry Potter, for all you care. If you claim to be interested in something, then that sparkle in the eye should come out when you're talking about it with us. And it's okay to not know something, right? So if you are in the interview and you're asked about something and you genuinely don't know, then just say I don't know. There's far more power in that over trying to make up something or trying to be, pretend like I know it all, because it kind of doesn't land very well. And what can you work on in these times, if you're still in class 10, 11, and even in 12th, if you still have time to do your interviews and applications? I'd say that, work on your communication skills, work on how do I so everybody has original thoughts and ideas and opinions. How do I learn to structure them a little bit better? Talk to people, talk to your seniors, talk to your teachers, your mentors, and figure out how do I kind of get better at communicating in a more effective manner, on paper, in person, while speaking to somebody. How do I structure my thoughts? How do I ensure that the message I want to give does land? Right. So those are, and we're not expecting finesse. They're still high school students, but at the same time, some effort in that direction would be worthwhile for not just for Nayanta, but in general as well, as they go along. And yeah, and then they should kind of, once they go through all of that, then you find the right college for you. Is the idea.
That's quite enlightening, that's amazing. I mean, one thing which I noticed in this interview, that in the last 10-15 minutes of our conversation, you mentioned one thing, that one of the key philosophies behind establishment of this university is that university is also looking for some economic, socio-economic, and geographical diversity.
Yeah, yeah,
And the curriculum should be such that it could attract talent from each and every corner of India, for each and every segment of the society, whether it's urban segment, whether it's rural segment, and so
yeah,
on.
yeah,
And while I was going through one of the interviews of Dr. Naushad Forbes, he also mentioned that it's easier to get in touch with the urban population, I mean,
yeah,
with various means, but it's a bit difficult to get in touch with the urban segment, and for that the university has put in all its effort to connect with
yeah,
them,
yeah,
NGOs, through social sector, and so on.
yeah,
So my follow-up question is that, if some student from urban or rural society, I mean, who is disadvantageous section, who cannot afford things, comes to Nayanta, uh, uh, how how the university takes care of the financial aid, or
yes,
the imparting education to
yeah,
that segment of society which is very curious,
yeah.
very much focused, but does not have the resources.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So, and that's a very guiding principle that with which Nayanta was formed, and we do believe in building a truly diverse class, and we've achieved that even with the class of 30 that we have in the founding class. We have students from Assam, from Uttarakhand, from Bangalore, from Hyderabad, from Calcutta, from Delhi. Bombay, Pune, Gujarat, all over. And we are looking to build a far more diverse class of 100 as we go along in the next cohort. The first thing that I wanted to just talk about is something that Dr. Ranjan talks about a lot, is that, when the Indian cricket team, they started doing better when the team was truly represented by talent from all over the country. So the moment you had players coming in from Punjab, from Baroda, from Ranchi, and all sorts of places, and not just the Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta camps or Bangalore camps, is when the cricket team kind of just became a solid, formidable team of winners, and we see that trend going in that direction as we've seen it. So that's the idea. So to build a class which is representative of the true talent of India. How do we do that? Is the outreach piece, like you rightly mentioned, we are working with NGOs. We started that work a year before we launched also. So that work had started in 2024, and we continue to do that with NGOs across the country. We also work with organizations that are working with students in the government schools across states. So be it, the model schools within the states, the state board affiliated schools. So that's also something that we do. We're also working on Maharashtra rural outreach, suburban and rural outreach through some of our partner organizations. So that is something that is kind of in motion and set. And we do attract applications and talent from across the board from there. The process of admissions remains the same for everybody. So the application has to be written. However, we do allow for up to 3 languages for the essays. So English, Hindi, Marathi is what is allowed for now. And even in the interview, and it's not just limited to if you're coming from a certain background, but English, Hindi, Marathi for essays and interviews is allowed for across the board. And we believe that when children kind of have to talk about their values and who they truly are, sometimes they are better off breaking into a little bit of a Hinglish over an English even in the interview, and even if they come from an international school or whatever, because it's their mother tongue, and not even if they've done English in their first language. So there's that. The aptitude test, however, is full English, right? So that is completely English, and that's where kind of testing your understanding and comprehension of the language, because end of the day, it is a 4-year program which is English medium. So we also don't want to set up anybody for failure that comes in and doesn't comprehend what's going on in class. That will not be good for anyone involved in the process. So the admission process hence is the same for everybody. Once they get an offer, so once everybody gets an offer, everybody gets the same offer letter. And after you get the offer letter is when you come and tell us that I will need help with financial aid. Once you tell us that, then the whole financial aid process starts. That's when the team takes over. There's a financial aid team, and there's an application form that you have to fill. We look at the family background, finances, assets, all of that, income certificates, bank statements, ITR, etc. In case they don't have certain documentation, then the team also helps them apply for those documents with the government and procure them. But we also kind of go by trust initially. So that's why we keep a decent amount of window, and we encourage students to apply in round 1 and round 2. That gives us the time also to go through the financial aid process with a lot more time, and because some of these paperwork can take some time from government organizations at times. So all of that, and then there's a phone call, a video call with the family in Pune, Bombay, Maharashtra. We try and visit the house also to kind of see the environment and everything, have a chat with the family, and then it is ascertained as to that income is sort of assessed, and then it's ascertained as to how much should be given, and then the financial aid committee decides on it. So we give up to 100% full fee and 80% full fee scholarships to students. Quite a few of our seats are on that. So in a class of 100, the idea is to have up to 50% seats on some scholarship or the other, which includes the 20 to 50% range of tuition fee scholarships also. So we have three broad categories: 100% full fee, 80% full fee, and then the 20 to 50% on tuition fee. And that largely then goes to the middle class, as we call it, or even in some cases the upper middle class, because they may have two kids, they may be living in very expensive urban areas, and they may need some support to fund their education. So they are also most welcome to apply. And but the total number of seats is about 50, up to 50% of all seats. So that's the large kind of broad context of it. How we help them once they come in is that there are opportunities for work study programs within campus, so they can kind of work on certain projects, be it research projects, be it other learning and development projects, where they kind of work with the teams and the administration or the faculty to make some money as they go along. But the program is pretty much all inclusive. So all the meals are covered, the stay is covered, any books that they may need for studies are covered, including all study material. We also provide a laptop for those that want one or need one. In the first batch, we gave an option, but everyone took it. So it was quite heartening to see. We did have students who came with their own laptops, but that were perhaps better than the ones that we were giving. But the parents said that no, you're going to use what everyone else is using, and they took it away. So it's kind of like that. So that's the right set of values and the ethos that we are also checking for and trying to build the class. So that there's no stark divide or anything like that. So that's the core idea and how we kind of support them financially to get through it.
So the admission process is pretty much standardized, right?
Yeah.
That actually, this is the sense which I got. And at the same time, once the admission process is over, people have got the admission letter, then only financial aid is provided. And the way you mentioned, the way the financial aid or this help is taken care of by the university, it's very heartening. And also it is going to encourage a lot of underprivileged students to dream big in their life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For 100%, right? So, Sampurna, thank you so much. My questions are exhausted now, right? And I want to thank you a lot. Thanks, with the bottom of your heart, that you explained everything so crystal clear and with a lot of clarity, that I'm sure that the viewers or the audience who are watching this particular video, or who are actually going to watch this video, they'll be getting a lot of insights into the university aspect, the Nayanta has to offer to the students. And thank you so much. And any parting remarks from you for our students?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vineet, and thanks to Pratham for having me today and having Nayanta, at the Know Your University session. We are still in our first year, first calendar year, and it's really heartening to see the kind of response we are getting from the ecosystem as well as from students and parents, and we want to kind of keep the momentum up. And I just wanted to talk about the fact that round 2 deadline is 19th of Jan, and we may or may not do a round 3, but if we do it, it will be after your boards. Around mid-April, but we do encourage students to apply early. So round 1 is over. We closed that in November. The first set of offers have already gone out, and now we are in round 2, and then round 3 is likely, but that will be sort of mid-April. The only thing I do want to talk about is that we're looking for curious individuals that are hungry to learn and are resilient, and who do value curiosity as well as collaboration. I talked about care, so it's not a cutthroat sort of environment, right? It is somebody that can work with others and can grow together and individually. And so the breadth and the depth in the knowledge that you have, and that you will acquire when you come into the program is something that we are truly looking for. And then, if this is something that truly kind of excites you, then it's definitely the right fit for you. So it's important that the other reason why I always encourage students to apply early, do well in your boards, and secure a seat is that it gives you a really long window to go and explore the universities, come for an open day, come with your parents, make the trip, all of that. And or even if you can't, then you can engage with us online, meet the faculty, the team, and everyone to then decide if this is the right university for you. It's very important that you spend 4 years in a place which is right for you, and not somewhere that it seems like the best place to go to. So, and all the best for boards. Whoever tells you board exams don't matter, don't listen to them. They do. It's very important to do well in your boards. So please do well in your board exams. And it's only 2-3 months. You have to study hard, and then the rewards are high. So all the very best.
Thank you so much, Sampurna, and I'm sure that the all the viewers, students, and parents who are watching this particular interview, they got immensely benefited out of this interview. I'm very pretty sure about this. Thank you so much. Thanks to you.
Thank you so much again, Vineet, and thanks for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you.